about today? We're going to talk today about control and controlling people. Okay, so this is a very serious message, something that I think that we really need to have some really good dialogue around. So let's discuss it. So controllers are everywhere. Okay, when we say controllers, we're talking about controlling people. Perhaps you know of somebody, perhaps you have been a person that has been controlled by someone else, and you know the feeling of being controlled by somebody else. It's not a good feeling. But again, controllers are everywhere, and controllers can be a lot of different people. It's not unique to one person. This could be your boss, it could be a coworker, it could be a friend, it could be your spouse. A controller could be your parents, okay? Could be your adult children. It could be your business partner, or perhaps your pastor. So controllers are everywhere you go. You may find yourself, being around somebody who's controlling. Now, control, what is control? Well, let's just say it this way. Control is a dominating spirit. Okay, it's a dominating spirit in operation, and it's designed to direct your life to serve someone else's purpose. Okay, again, I'll say it again. It's a dominating spirit that's operating in somebody, and it's designed, or its purpose is to direct your life or somebody else's life in order to serve them or someone else's purpose. So this is a serious topic. So I really want you to listen in, because many people, okay, a lot of people have been, affected by somebody that is controlling, or perhaps it's you that may be controlling. You certainly don't want to do that. Now let's look at some scripture. Let's look at Romans chapter number 16, verse 17 and 18. I'll be reading out of the New Living Translation of the Bible. Romans 16, 17, and 18. If somebody could put that in the comment section on Zoom, or the chat box in Zoom, and then also if you could put it in the comment section on YouTube, I'd appreciate it, for those that perhaps are joining us a little bit late today. Okay, so in Romans chapter 16, verse 17, again, New Living Translation, says, and now, this is Paul, of course, the Apostle Paul talking, and he says, now I make one more appeal, my dear brothers and sisters. Now listen to these words. Watch out, or be aware, but he says, watch out for people who cause divisions. Now let me just stop right there. I want to interject this, is that controllers cause division. They cause division a lot of different ways, but they certainly can cause family division. They can cause relational division. And if you're susceptible, or you're prone, or you are enabling that controller, then it can actually cause somewhat of a division between you and God. Now, what do I mean by that? Does that mean that you don't have a relationship with God? No, that's certainly not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that it creates in you a mental, emotional divide, not a spiritual one, but a mental, emotional divide, where you actually feel hopeless, you're in despair, and then there's a divide between you, which you cause, essentially, between you and God. Okay, so watch out for those that cause these type of division. Another word, matter of fact, the King James Version of the Bible uses the word offense. So what does the word offense mean? It's the Greek word scandalon, which is where we would get our word scandal. So watch out for people that cause scandal. Well, a controller, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, a controller, and you know this, a controller causes scandal. Those of you that are being attacked by somebody who is a controller, perhaps that person is narcissistic, Jezebelic, you know what I'm talking about. They create scandal in your life. So Paul's saying, watch out, be aware, okay? Be on guard for people. Okay, it's talking about people now. It's not talking about spirits. It's saying, watch out for people. People that cause division, people that cause scandal, and upset people's faith by teaching things, saying, instructing, think of those words, contrary to what you have been taught. Paul goes on to say, stay away from them. Stay away from them. Have you ever asked yourself the question, why is it that you can't stay away from a controller? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. But Paul admonishes us. He says, stay away from them. For such people, Paul goes on to say, are not serving Christ, our Lord. But he says they are serving their own personal interest. A controller, come on, it's all about them. A controller looks to serve themselves. They're not interested in anyone else. A narcissist is not interested in anyone else. A Jezebelian is not concerned about anybody else. It's all about them. And this is what Paul's talking about. They are serving their own personal interest. How? Well, Paul goes on to say, by smooth talk. A controller is going to use words. Okay? Smooth. Don't think that it's always smooth meaning pretty type words or classic type words. No, these are words that are cunning, smooth. They're able to meander and infiltrate your life. Through the psychological warfare of a controller, that controller will bring forth smooth dialogue, discussion, talk, arguments, debates, whatever it may be. Okay? And it says that they deceive innocent people. Innocent people. Listen, controlling others, hear me very clearly, and you may want to write this stuff down today. Controlling others, when somebody is controlling, but to control other people is an insidious spirit. This is a serious topic today. It's an insidious spirit that is used by Jezebel or the Jezebel network, okay, to destroy your life. The purpose of a controlling spirit and the controller that's actually in operation of that spirit is to destroy your life. It's not to build it up. It's not to admonish it. It's not to increase it. It is designed to destroy your life, to keep you from ever achieving your true purpose, destiny, dreams, visions, whatever it is that God has placed in you. That's what it's designed to do. It's designed to keep you from it. And again, it is a sick, wicked, insidious spirit. Controlling others is also witchcraft. Okay? Witchcraft is a work of the flesh, according to the book of Galatians. And it includes control, manipulation, intimidation, and domination. Witchcraft. So a controlling other people or a controlling person is full and, of course, is operating in witchcraft. You need to identify this stuff. You need to be aware of this. Because if you're not aware, if you don't understand this, then you're certainly going to be prey to it. And you're going to find yourself entrapped by it. You're going to find yourself caught up in the trap. You're going to take the bait. You're going to waste many, many years, okay, in a controlling environment. Controlling others, and of course you being controlled, is a behavioral dysfunction birthed out of an emotional wounded soul. Okay, so if you've been hurt and wounded, you're either going to have a propensity to control others, or you're going to allow or enable other people to control you. Now, let me be very clear in this statement, and I want to be very direct. You must stop enabling. Listen to what I'm saying. You must stop enabling others to control you. You must break free from the puppet master. A controller is a type of puppet master, okay? A master is, when you use the word puppet master, and you've seen perhaps a puppet, the puppet is under the control of the puppeteer or the master. Whether it's a puppet that goes over your hand or a puppet, that is on sticks and has strings, and the master just moves it and the puppet moves whichever way the puppet master commands it to move. And a master is one that has control over another person. So think about your life. Think about anyone in your life that has control over you. We should never allow someone to gain dominance or mastery over ourselves. I'll say that again. We should never allow someone to gain dominance and mastery over us. Okay? No one is to master you. There is no one that is to be your master. If anything, we should have self-mastery. We should be able to govern ourselves, master ourselves, control ourselves, self-control. See, when you don't have self-control, two things can typically happen. Number one, you're either going to control other people, or you're going to find yourself being controlled by other people. Okay? Now, God has not called you to be a slave. If somebody's your master, or there's the controlling person is master over you, because that's what a puppet master looks to do, then you're typically the slave to that master. Now, let me ask you this. Has God called you to be enslaved to anything? Anything that enslaves you, listen to me, anything that enslaves you is demonic. Anything that enslaves you or has you in bondage. And people can have you in bondage. Okay? I know we're always trying to think in terms of the demonic spirits, what demon spirit has me in bondage, and that's 100% true, absolutely. But understand this. This is what we need to really get through. And that is this, is that, and I say this to people all the time, I said, I'm not concerned about demons. Demons are not my concern. I'm not fearful of demons. I don't worry about demons. I don't run from demons. Okay, I'm not demon conscious. I don't constantly thinking about demons. Demons do exist. But more importantly, I'm more concerned about demons that operate in people. Demons out there, wherever, in the dry places or in the wilderness, I'm not concerned about them. I'm not worried about them hopping on me. They can't. What I am concerned about is when someone, a person, a human being, has fallen prey to, or is in bondage to, or is bound by, or possessed by, or oppressed by, whatever term you want to use, by a demon spirit. That's the ones that I'm concerned with. So a controller or a controlling person, a narcissist, is someone that they themselves are enslaved to a spirit of control or controlling spirit. But we're not, I'm not, you're not. We're not going to be called, we're not going to be a slave or enslaved to someone who is controlling. So just if we stop right there, what I want you to be aware of is this, is that anytime you feel or you sense that you're in a controlling environment, a controlling system, or in a relationship with a controlling person, you need to deal with that immediately. Do not let that fester. Do not think that you're going to be able to fix that. You can't fix that. What you need to do is deal with yourself. Okay? So the controlling person is, again, like the puppet master. Puppet master is the one who holds all the control. That's the one that's dangling the puppet and, of course, moving the strings. He or she, that person, that's the person that looks to make all the decisions for all your movement, okay? Because you would be the puppet. If you're being controlled, you are the one that's the puppet. And the puppet master is the one making the decisions for all your movements in life. So have you ever felt that what you do in life, the things you say, the things that you do, the phone calls you make, the places you go, even your time is being under or is under the control of the master, the puppet master, the controller? In that you, as the puppet, as it were, that you actually no say in the matter. You want to say, but you, even if you did say, you really have no say in the matter. It's not going to change anything. Your voice is pretty much voiceless. Your voice has no power. Because why? Because you're completely under the control and dominance of the controller. So ask yourself the question today. Ask yourself the question where you are. Perhaps some of you can put this in the chat box or on YouTube. You can put it in the comments. Are you under the control of someone else? Okay. Are you under the control of anybody? or anything? Is there something that is controlling you? See, a controlling spirit in a person, again, I want to preface that I'm not concerned about controlling spirits out there somewhere. I'm concerned, as it were, about controlling spirits in people. Typically, people that I come in contact with, okay? A controlling spirit in a person, what it looks to do, it looks to conform you. Think in terms of conformity. A controlling person is looking to control you or conform you into the image they want from you. So we're really talking about identity theft here as well. We're talking about a controller stealing your identity, your true identity in Christ, in Him. Your identity as far as what God has given you to do, your assignment, your gift, your gifts, your talent, whatever it may be. A controlling person, that spirit in operation in that controlling person, looks to conform you, to model you, to get you to become something that you're not, or something you don't want. Have you ever found yourself in a position where you're doing something you really don't want to do? Have you ever found yourself in a place you don't want to be? Have you ever found yourself engaged in activities, work, whatever it may be, at different activities, helping somebody out, and you really don't want to do it? That's because the controlling person and that spirit in operation in that person is looking to conform you. Again, get you in the image it wants for you. It strips your identity. This is why it's so dangerous, very dangerous to be around a controlling person. And again, many of us can be around controlling people because we feel as though somehow, well, you know, we need to love them. And of course we do. But loving somebody doesn't mean that you allow them to control you. Loving someone doesn't mean you allow them to have dominance over you. You know, when somebody's controlling you, then where's the Holy Spirit in that? I mean, if someone's controlling you, if somebody's conforming you, then how can you technically conform to the image of Christ? Again, this is about gaining dominance over a person. And when you're controlled by your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, your son, your daughter, your boss, your pastor, whoever, when you're controlled, I can guarantee you this: the Holy Spirit does not have full range of motion in your life. Don't sit there and state that you're listening to God when you're under the control of someone else. Because God's not going to, you know, remember, He's a jealous God. He's looking for you to have 100% investment in Him. 100% of the kingdom of God. Remember, seek ye first. You can't be seeking the kingdom. You can't be operating the kingdom, but yet you're looking to please other people, specifically controllers. You're looking to comply to the controllers. Okay? Remember, the controllers in life that have crossed your path, or perhaps you're in relationship with, or you're engaged in, or you're living in the same house with, those controllers, which are many times, by the way, many times a narcissist, are simply, you are simply a character in their motion picture. Okay. Again, I'll say to a controller, this thing is a motion picture, and you're nothing more than a character. I'm nothing more than a character in their motion picture. And in their motion picture, in the script, in the screenplay, everything that is said about their movie, their picture, is that they're good and everybody else is bad. So again, this is a major behavioral flaw. It is a major demonic spirit in operation in people today. What you must do is come out from the control of other people. Now, you may be sitting there and listening and saying, well, I don't really know. Am I in a relationship? Am I around people that are controlling? Is my family controlling? Is my son or daughter, my adult son or daughter, now controlling me? Or am I being controlled by my parents. Maybe you live with your parents. Maybe you're around your parents a lot, or whatever it may be. Maybe they're in a different state. I don't know what your situation is. But let's look at some signs of a controller, okay? Let's look at some signs of a controller, all right? Let's see here. I was just looking at YouTube real quick. Okay, so signs of a controller. Well, have you ever been around a person that they trigger? When I say trigger, they manifest, they emotionally just explode, but they trigger anger or they trigger rage when you don't agree with them. Think about that for a minute. You ever talk to somebody? Again, these are typically people that are close to you. Typically, not always, but typically. They trigger anger. They trigger rage. They become very rageful and perhaps even verbally assaultive or violent when you don't agree with them. That is a controller. When you cannot have conversation with the person, or if you do have conversation with the person, that person explodes on you, okay? Because you are not in agreement with what they're saying. You disagree. You know, it's okay to disagree. There's nothing wrong with disagreement. There's nothing wrong with having a cerebral conversation with someone where you critically think through something and you just, at the end of the day, just don't agree. Perhaps it's your perception, perhaps it's your belief, perhaps it's logical, whatever it may be, it doesn't matter. It's your decision. You have a right. Listen, you have a right to be you, okay? But you have a responsibility to bounce your decisions, and of course the fact of you being you and self-discovering that your life is in agreement with the life that the Father God, calls us to live, and you're going to find that in the Word of God, okay? So you have a right to disagree with people. Don't ever apologize for disagreeing with people. Don't apologize for the things you do, unless for some reason you're hurting other people. Now you have to be careful, because controller will tell you you're hurting them. But again, the controller cannot be your standard. What has to be your standard is the Word of God, okay? So again, what are some of the signs of a controller? Well, they trigger many times with anger and rage, just simply because you disagree. The other thing I found out about controllers is this. Many of them have, I've talked to many of us, certainly through our coaching lane that we have here, in working with a lot of different people, coaching them through a lot of different things, life coaching in particular, is that controllers have they have strange philosophies. They have strange life commandments. They have weird, I'll just use the term weird, views about life and about how life should work and how their life works. But here's the interesting thing about these controllers is they actually expect you to follow these commandments. They expect you to follow these philosophical views that they have, these strange philosophies of life that simply make absolutely no sense at all. But to them, that's what they believe. But the danger is they expect you to follow those. So they'll say something really weird, and you'll be like, huh? You'll be thinking on the inside, what? That doesn't make any sense. But if you challenge that, or if you say, I disagree with that, or what in the world are you talking about? It's going to trigger some type of emotion, again, rage, violence, anger, retaliation, accusation, whatever it may be. The other thing about a controller is this. A controller many times talks in riddles. Riddle me this, riddle me that. In other words, they'll be all over the place. You really can't follow them. You're trying to follow the conversation, and they'll even ask you, you know what I'm saying? And you're thinking inside, I have absolutely no idea what you're saying. I'm totally confused. Controllers bring mass confusion. Mass confusion. It's designed to wear you down. Do you understand? Wear you down. Have you ever been in a place where you feel totally beaten down because you're trying to understand the controller? You can't understand a controller. It is an insidious spirit. It is demonic rage against you as a person. It is typically in operation in all narcissists. How do you be how is somebody narcissistic and they're not controlling, right? But again, they talk in riddles. They make absolutely no sense. And the thing is they want you to try to figure out their riddle. Now they're going to have you exert a lot of different, a lot of time, a lot of energy. You'll walk away from a controller that you had a conversation with. You'll spend literally hours, if not perhaps days, trying to figure out what went on, what's going on. Again, it's all designed to wear you down. It's designed to steal things, okay? And one of the things it's designed to steal is your life, your energy, your purpose. It's designed to remove you away from your relationship with God, not his with yours, but your relationship with him. It's very interesting because a controller will actually steer your prayer life. A controller will have you focus so much on them that all your prayer points are about them. Paul didn't say that. Paul did not say that. Paul said, avoid them. Stay away from them. Watch out for them. These are dangerous people. Now you may be thinking, well, yeah, but this person is my spouse, or this person is my son, or my daughter, my mother, my father, my pastor. Shouldn't I love them? Yes. Nobody's saying do not love them. But you need to understand that love doesn't always stay in a situation where you are being controlled and you are being used. That's not what love is. Love is not about complying to a controller. Love is not about enabling a controller, or better yet, even enabling yourself to be controlled. Okay? I mean, if you're going to serve God, you serve God. You don't serve controllers. But remember, a controller is looking, because it's Jezebelic. And the word Jezebel, of course, means without cohabitation. So it's not looking for you to serve anybody else. It wants you to serve them. Their purpose, their desire, their needs, their wants. It's all about them. That's why they're, in many cases, narcissistic. Let me give you another sign. A controller will demonize you. A controlling person, whoever it may be in your life, will look to demonize you, always blaming you for everything. Blame, 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 blame. You did this. You left. You did that. You attacked. You did that. You did. It flips the script. As a matter of fact, when it comes to Jezebel, a controller will actually label you as the Jezebel. Label you as the narcissist, perhaps. A controller demonizes. Remember, it's a movie to them. It's a theatrical performance. There's characters in their life, and these characters must be bad. Okay? There can be no wrong with them. They are okay. It's the world around them that's wrong. Their entire life, everything that's gone on in life with them has nothing to do with them. It has to do with other people, because other people are bad. They did this to me. You did this to me. So they're always going to demonize. They're always going to flip the script, as it were. Okay? Because they can do no wrong. That's classic narcissism, isn't it? A grandiose view of oneself. I'm perfect. I'm good. I do no wrong. I'm a good parent. I'm a good child. I'm a good worker. I'm a good member of the church. I'm fine. It's everybody else. And then what they do is they just blame everybody for their situation. Okay? So that's another sign. Another thing is that controllers will pressure you. They will pressure you. Or they will manipulate what and how you say something. They'll put so much pressure on you that have you ever felt that when you're engaged in conversation with a person that's a controller, have you ever felt that somehow you're walking on eggshells? That's because there's internal pressure. They have played so many mind games, so many Jedi mind tricks, as it were, to keep you from actually saying what you want to say or saying what you need to say. there's pressure internally through manipulative tactics that is designed to have you say something a certain way. You can't, essentially what it's doing, again, the identity theft is you cannot be yourself. If you're yourself, you're going to be demonized and blamed. Now, I know you know what I'm talking about. When I say, have you ever felt like you're walking on eggshells? That if you say something, that somehow they're going to trigger some toxic emotion that is going to just explode against you. How many know what I'm talking about today? It looks like on YouTube, just about everybody understands what I'm talking about. Okay, I see all your comments. I'm not going to be able to get to all of them today, but I do see them popping up. So thank you. Okay, so controllers look to and have some dialogue among yourself in the chat box or on the YouTube, because again, I see there's tons of people out there right now. Controllers look to influence how you act. Again, you can't be you. What you think. And it's weird because internally, I mean, it's like quietly what you think in your own mind, a controller has actually influenced that. Remember, the controller is the puppet master. It's moving your life. And it's strategically set up seeds of confusion, doubt of self, feelings of inferiority, senses of insecurity, where in your own mind you're asking yourself, what have I done? What have I done to deserve this? What have I done to this person? Am I a bad person? You're going to question your own character. You're going to question your own life, your own identity. The controller is going to use so much manipulative tactics against you that you're going to look to basically self-destroy, self-sabotage. So it looks to influence how you act. Again, what you say, how you act, where you go, what you buy. You know, a controller will release so much control against you that you will actually purchase things that you really don't want, but you end up wanting to please them, or at the very least, look to conform to what they say you should have, or what you can't have, because you're a bad person. You can't have that, because if you have it, why didn't you give it to me? If you have that nice car, geez, you didn't give me a car, and you should have, blame, 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 blame. Okay? Controllers use so many, controllers use so many tools of manipulation, and I'll use that term, tools of manipulation. Okay? What are some of the tools of manipulation that a controller uses? Well, I would say the first one that comes to my mind is guilt. Placing guilt on you. Look what you did. You did this. Did you do it? You did this. Guilt. Guilt. And you're constantly internalizing and thinking, what did I do? Oh my God, I did that. Then you actually believe the lie of the guilt. You take on the guilt because they're expressing their pain, their anger. They're projecting that towards you. And now you take on that guilt. Guilt means you did something wrong. It's an accusation. Who's the accuser of the brethren? So this guilt is designed to basically manipulate and shift your personality into what they want you to do. That's called control. Again, you're just a dangled puppet. So the tools of manipulation of choice, I would say, of a controller would be guilt. Another one would be fear. Fear. What do you mean by fear? Well, I believe it's the controller will use fear, such as the fear of you losing something, even the controller. So let's say the controller is your spouse. Let's say the controller is a parent, or let's say the controller is a now grown adult child. And they've put guilt on you, they've attacked you, they've manipulated, they're going through all this stuff. And they're looking to project fear. They're going to say a lot of different things that has you fearful of losing that relationship. Well, if I may today say this, a controlling relationship is not a relationship. Because to a controller, remember, a controller, it's not about win-win. It's about I win, you lose. If I'm a controller, then I win, you lose all the time. Okay? Notice what I said, all the time. Not periodically, all the time. So could be based on the guilt that was placed on you. Okay? There's going to be fear that's interjected to where you're fearful of losing something. Okay. Another form of manipulation is going to be, of course, blaming you, accusations against you. Okay. Shame would be another one. Whereas guilt says you did something wrong, shame now is projected. And again, there's things in you that has actually opened the door for this. We'll talk about that at some other time. But shame, which basically means that the controller is completely devaluing you. It's designed to reduce, if not completely steal, your internal value or self-value. To have you see yourself as completely defective and no good. Okay? Completely defective and no good. All right, let's look at some more. Okay, let's talk about being yourself. A controller will never allow you to be yourself around them. They insist that they are in everything that's going on in their life to be your number one priority, right? So you can't be yourself. You want to be yourself. Perhaps it's even worse than that. Perhaps you want to discover yourself. A controller is never going to give you permission, as it were, to discover yourself, because they're insistent on you making them your top priority. Do you have anybody in your life that you spend so much time with that you never have time for you? That's dysfunctional, my friend. Okay? A controller wants undue influence over your life. They're not going to share you with anybody else. A matter of fact, they'll attack you if you're in places or you're around people that they don't want you with. They control all your other relationships. That could be, if it's a spouse, it could be they don't want you around your friends. They don't want you around your family. Okay? If it's maybe a church relationship, they don't want you around other believers or whatever it may be. If it's a pastor, even a controlling pastor doesn't want you to go to another church, right? Because they want 100% allegiance to them. 100%. Here's another sign. Controllers have write this one down. Controllers have no respect for your boundaries. Now my wife on Wednesdays has been talking about boundaries. She's been talking about for several weeks now, and perhaps she'll continue on that on Wednesday. I believe she is. I believe there's much more in her to release in that regard. But regardless of that, controllers are never going to respect your boundaries, because it's all about them. It has nothing to do with you. So your time, listen to me very clearly, your time is going to be stolen. You know this already. You know this. That's what a controller does. It just goes, it completely goes bypass or right around or through your boundaries. And because of your fear of the controller and your fear to lose the relationship, or your fear of the attacks, because you're going to be attacked. You're going to be persecuted. They're going to talk about you. You know that. But your fear of conflict, whatever it may be, they're going to blow right past that, and they're going to steal your time. They're going to abuse you verbally. They're going to call you every name in the book. Come on, somebody, you know that. They're going to call you. They're going to call you this. They're going to call you that. They're going to lie about you. They're going to talk about you, slander you, gossip about you. They're just going to completely be enraged against you. So they don't have any respect for your boundaries. So if you have somebody in your life that has no respect for your boundaries, they're most likely a controller or manipulator at the very least. At the end of the day, they're still operating witchcraft. A controller also is a chronic criticizer. Write that one down. A chronic criticizer. They're constantly criticizing you. You do this. You do that. You don't do this. You don't do that. You don't keep your word. You don't show up. You don't watch the babies. You don't let me drive the car. You don't give me money. You don't do that. You didn't come. You're controlling. Chronic criticism is another sign of a controller. There's a lot of signs. Oh, believe me. What about this one? What about threats against you? What about threats against you, or even threats against themselves, as it were? Let me give you an example. Threats against you. It's an intimidation tactic, okay, designed to wear you down, back you down, and get you into complete submission, where they'll make they'll make threats against you, like, I'll take everything away from you. I'll strip you from this. I'll remove this from you. I'll take the kids from you. I'll take the money. I'll take the car. It could go up some notches. I'll beat you down. I'll punch you out. I'll slap you out. I'll take your life. Okay? So they'll release threats against you. All right? But they'll also do something else. They'll manipulate by saying, I'll get rid of my life. In other words, because you're not doing what I want you to do, you know what? I'm just not going to live. I'm going to get rid of my own life. I'm going to, and they'll leave you with a mind, a seed deposit in your mind that has you thinking that they're going to go out and do something crazy against themselves, like take their own life. That is, again, more insidious, manipulative manipulation coming against you. Okay? Like I said, there's a lot. What about this? What about they create a debt? What do I mean by that? They create a debt. In other words, they look to get you to think that they did something and now you owe them something. And you'll be wondering, what did they do? Again, they're so, how do I want to say it? They're so smart, as it were, because it's an insidious spirit. But let's not think that evil spirits are dumb. They're not dumb. They're extremely highly intelligent. And they know precisely how to manipulate you to get you to think that you owe them something, that somehow they did something for you. And you're trying to figure out what. But they'll gaslight you so much to get you to think, oh yeah, I do need to do that. I do owe them. Owe them for what? Because they mowed your lawn? Seriously? This is why when there's a control in your life, you can't have a relationship. Don't allow a controller to do anything for you. If so, it will be a debt that you're going to have to pay 10 times over. 10 times over. Okay? They also have what's known conditional love. In other words, oh, I'll love you. You may want them to love you. And they'll say, oh, I'll love you. But I'll only love you when you do something, or when you're in compliance to the controller. Then they'll love you. That's called conditional love. Okay? Now, they're also chronically argumentative. They create scandal. How many of you can recognize that? Then when you're engaged with, or you're in relationship to or around controllers, that they will be chronically argumentative. Okay? They will argue about everything. They will manufacture scandal. And this is what Paul said, that they create offenses. They create scandal. Okay? Drama queens, drama kings, whatever. Okay? It doesn't matter what it is. Okay? They will also pressure you. A controller will pressure you to get information from you, by the way. Let me throw that one in there. A controller will pressure you to get information out of you, because they're going to create an image that you need to be full disclosure of everything going on in your life, all your connections, all your phone call, everything you do. They want information. Listen to me very quickly. You need to zip it. Zip it. That means be quiet. Stop giving. Listen to me very clearly, I pray. Please stop giving information to controllers. Said another way, stop giving information to just people bound by Jezebel. Stop giving information to narcissists. All of this is going to be used against you, either for more manipulation against you, more control against you, or to ultimately take you down. Because at the end of the day, a controller will attack you. They will attack you. They will attack you verbally. They will attack you physically. They will attack you financially. They will attack you intellectually. They will attack and attack and attack. And they'll do it through manipulation. You don't love me. Well, that's an attack against you. Okay? Here's the things, my friends, and that's this. A controller knows exactly what button to push in your life. It knows exactly what button to push in your life to get an emotional reaction out of you. All of that is designed to exploit your weakness. If a controller to get you to trigger some emotion, whether it's anger, whether it's depression, whether it's, it doesn't matter what the emotion is. If the controller, the narcissistic controller, the puppet master, can get you to manifest or trigger something, then it's going to be used, because that is exploiting your weakness. Okay? A controller, I want to mention this as well. A controller also preys on the fearful, people that are fearful, in fear. Matter of fact, they bank on the fact that you're going to be a coward, to their intimidation, to their manipulation, to those tactics that they use. They prey on fear. It's like they're like dogs. Okay, a dog can sense your fear. If you walk in a room and perhaps there's a Rottweiler or a boxer or whatever, and you're afraid of dogs, a dog is going to sense that fear. The only time I've only been bit by a dog once in my life, other than just a dog, I was playing with it, accidentally maybe cut me, a little bit. I'm not concerned about that. But I'm talking about like an attack. I was only bit one time by a dog when I was a kid, because I went to my friend's home and I saw the dog, and I could just sense this fear coming up on me. I just totally phobia, fear. And I had my hand down, the dog bit it, because the dog sensed the fear. And when dogs sense fear, they attack. When a controller senses fear, they will attack. When a narcissist sees that you're fearful, they will attack. They prey on fear. Okay? All right. I've said a lot there. Let me look at here. Okay. Patricia says this is all so true. Take a quick peek over here on YouTube as well. Okay. All right. Yeah. Good deal. And hey, share this message. I deal with a Jezebel supervisor in the workplace. She has fired many people just to bring them back and tear them down because people fear losing money. Exactly. Very good point, Stephanie. They will, a controller will use finances, money, fear of losing money, all that stuff. If you're afraid of losing your job, if you're afraid of losing money, all that's going to control you. Listen, you know how many people I talk to, I coach, counsel, that they're afraid of leaving, and I understand it. I completely understand it. They're afraid of leaving the controller because they won't have any money. They won't have the funds. They won't have the finances. They're afraid of leaving the living conditions they're in because of finances. So they'll stay put with the controller or the controllers or the controlling environment for that. And they'll just stay there because they won't walk by faith. They'll walk by sight. Now again, I'm not attacking anybody with that statement. I'm simply saying this is all of us. A controller, when you're being controlled, when you're under the control of the Jezebel narcissistic puppet master, then fear is going to be a major campaign used against you. So you have to eradicate fear. You have to come out of agreement with fear. You have to walk by faith and not by sight. I understand it's hard in some cases, for whatever your reasons or the reasons are, to completely eradicate or remove yourself away from the controlling person or environment. But I am saying that you must do it, because it is designed, hear me very clearly, it's designed to kill you, It's designed to completely, at the very least, keep you from your destiny, okay, from your purpose, from experiencing life to the fullest, from excelling in life, and to achieving everything that God would have you to achieve in your life, okay? So, ask this, here's a question I ask. Why do people control other people? Why are these people controlling? Well, first off, if I may say, it's interesting, controllers do not actually think or feel or see themselves as controlling other people. Quite frankly, controllers will flip that script, as it were, and state you're controlling them. Okay? But I think that from my perch in the tree here is what I'm finding is that people that can't control themselves typically control other people. Okay? People that are full of insecurities, okay, they have a poor sense or poor view of self. They typically look to project that onto and into other people and take somebody else's identity, as it were. In other words, they achieve their pseudo identity, their fake identity, their false identity by way of manipulating control. It's a way of, again, I'm dominant, or I have dominance, I am important because I make everybody else my servant. Okay, whoever that may be. Okay, but I really believe that internally, deep inside, at their core, that these people have some serious emotional trauma, issues, insecurities, low self-esteem, lack of confidence, many times perversions of different sorts. Okay, and they certainly need deliverance. They certainly need, behavioral therapy and a bunch of other things. Okay. But that would be a reason probably why people control. I think another reason why people control is they themselves have fear. Fear knows fear, right? So some people control because I believe that they're afraid of abandonment. I think that's another, could be another reason where they're afraid of being abandoned. Okay, they don't feel secure. They're, again, insecure. They fear, what you may say, well, what are they fearful of? Well, I believe that they have a fear of rejection. They have a fear of being rejected from other people. They want to fit in, but they for whatever reason, because of things going on in their life, they don't fit in. And therefore, they're going to create this environment, they're going to create this lifestyle for themselves where they become dominant and they become controlling. I think people control also because they have deep internal wounds and they're protecting their wounds from being exposed by other people. Just in conversation. And exposure to wounds is a healthy thing. Okay, so if you ever found yourself in a place where you're having dialogue with somebody, and perhaps you've identified or you discern some things where that person has been wounded, and you go down that path, the closer you get to that wound, the controller is just going to completely manifest to keep you away from that wound because it hurts. It's like a narcissist. I mean, a narcissist is a wounded person, right? No different than a codependent is a wounded person. It's just that the narcissist and the codependent took a different path, passive, aggressive, whatever terms you want to use, same type of core issues. One took a path where their validation of self is found in their control and in their manipulation and their narcissistic characteristics. The other person took it down the path of dependency. I am dependent on other people. I need people to fulfill me. I need people to fulfill that lack of love or attention or validation that I had. And of course, these two types of people are going, or you could even say these two types of demons, Jezebel, Ahab, are going to cross paths. Okay, just like Queen Jezebel and King Ahab cross paths, right? I mean, there's reasons for everything. Okay? So a controller, like I said before, a controller could be a narcissist basically looking to simply to control the environment that they're in, because if they don't, then they're going to find an environment that is going to expose their wound. So basically, a controller, a narcissistic controlling puppet master, is that people become nothing more than pawns. A pawn is a person that becomes a very useful tool, as it were, to a narcissist in the world that the narcissist is creating for themselves. It's a dramatic world, isn't it? Okay. So it's like sometimes it's not even personal. It's just the narcissist, the controller, needs this to create the pseudo identity for self, or else they're going to completely implode. Now they need to implode, don't get me wrong, but there's just so much fear, there's so much pain, there's so much wound, there's so much hurt in these people that they have to control. Because if they don't control, they basically are going to find themselves as not knowing, they're just going to know the pain. And again, that's okay, because they, at the end of the day, they need deliverance, okay? So the problem with the mindset or the view of I'm a pawn is this, is we begin to ask the question, why me? What did I do? And again, we'll say, why am I the target? Why am I being attacked? Well, let me give this to you and leave you with this today, okay? Perhaps you need to consider that there is nothing wrong with you. Perhaps you need to consider that maybe you're a good person, maybe you're a healthy person, maybe you're a talented person, maybe there really isn't anything wrong with you. And I'm not saying you don't have issues. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about some more major type problems, okay? Perhaps it's because the controller wants what you have. Perhaps you have peace, the controller doesn't. Perhaps you feel good about yourself consistently, and you're reminding yourself that you're healthy and the world is healthy, and you have a good view of self, but the controller doesn't. Perhaps they're jealous of you. If you're constantly being attacked and feeling that people are jealous, or you not feeling, but people are jealous against you, perhaps that's why you're being controlled. Perhaps you're secure in the things that you've accomplished in life, your status, your the things that you've achieved, your overall place in life. Perhaps that's the reason, okay? Perhaps the fact that you get attention because, quite frankly, you're attractive, you're attractable. People like being around you. People enjoy being around you. Healthy people like being around healthy people. Okay? Perhaps you're prosperous. Perhaps you're prosperous financially or in any area of life. Okay? Perhaps you have some self-control, but the controller doesn't, so what do? They look to control you. Okay? But sometimes it is personal. Sometimes it is personal. See, controllers want to punish you. Controllers want to punish you for their pain, for their past. They want to punish you, and perhaps it could be parents punishing now grown children because they themselves have dysfunction and issues in life. Perhaps their childhood went a certain way and they're in so much pain, so now they punish their children. It doesn't have to be grown children, it could be their young children. They punish, and you become the, for lack of a better term, I won't use the term victim, target of their pain. Perhaps it's grown children that now attack their now aged parents, blaming them for where they're at in life, and they didn't get their start in life or whatever it may be. Maybe that's another form of control, or a personal, rather, type of control. It's personal, because now I'm going to punish you. I'm going to punish my kids for the pain I'm going through. I'm going to punish my parents for the pain I'm going through. Or perhaps, lastly, maybe it's something where there was a divorce, or you were abandoned in a relationship, or somebody was abandoned in the relationship and wounded by that spouse that you're now divorced from or separated from, whatever. But now you remarry, and now you're punishing, controlling the new spouse. Some of you out there are experiencing this. Okay? So, again, our time has gone so quick today. You may be saying, well, yeah, I hear what you're saying. What do I do? We'll talk about that. There's this is not, we can't deal with all this in 1 hour. So there's a lot to talk about. But I did want to share this with you today. I really pray that it was a blessing. I'm going to look at some of your comments and see if there's any questions on Zoom. But I really want you to take this to heart, because this is a major issue. It's a major issue. There's a controlling, the controlling world, as it were, okay, based on Satan, Jezebel, demonic resources, and of course, the narcissism that's very prevalent in people today around the world. This is serious. You must come out from control. Remember, last statement, control is never taken. Control is given. Nobody can take control over you. You actually have to relinquish or give control.